Hey everyone, it's Aesah, and welcome to my guide for Vayne Reroll. I had to record this because my audio did not record the first time. This comp is really strong right now. Vayne has been nerfed, I think, like 4 times in a row, so we'll see if it's still strong. Either way, uh, Vayne is a really unique unit in that she's very item dependent. Whenever she casts her ability, she actually does 3 attacks. So the reason this is important is it gives you 3 stacks of Rageblade and also procs Hurricane 3 times. So these items are both really good on her. Ideally, you would have 2 Rageblades, but I think it's just really important to have at least one. I would not play this comp at all unless like you're pretty sure you could get a Rageblade. If you only, for example, on 2-1, if you had a Vayne 2 and you only had a bow and no rod, I would try to sack on stage 2 and potentially take another bow or another rod. I'm not sure. I think I would lean towards another bow. If you have a rod, I would always take bow. The reason is her best in slot requires 2 Rageblades, and then Hurricane is probably her next best item, so her best in slot is kind of 3 bows. If you don't get Hurricane or second Rageblade, it's fine. You can go with a build with like Infinity Edge. I guess Giant Slayer builds out a bow. So you could use something like this, but ideally you would have 2 Rageblades. And then I think your third item is pretty flexible. I think Hurricane is the best by a little bit. It's not super clear. We're still really early in this set, so still figuring things out. Um, with Vayne, you're going to want to play Vanguard as your frontline and go pretty heavy into frontline because it'll allow you to give your time to Rageblade to stand up, to stack up. And another reason is Jarvan is a Vanguard Slayer, so it fits really nicely there, and Vayne is Anima Squad, and there's 2 Anima Squad Vanguards, so eventually you'll get all of Vayne's traits kind of for free, and Ross also fits really nicely, which just gives you Divinicore, so this is like a really natural frontline for Vayne. Um, and at this point, you can play 2 more Vanguards for 6, but typically it's usually better to play 2 more Slayers, which will give a more AD, but also these Slayer units are really strong right now. We'll see how it kind of develops as PB transitions into live. But Zed and Senna are both extremely strong units. I think Senna is probably the best 3 cost in the game. Zed might be the best 4 cost. So this comp just fits together really nicely. And Senna and Zed can both use your swords because Vayne wants a lot of bows. So you can kind of use that as a secondary carry. You don't really need Edge Knight because Zed actually Edge Knights on every single cast as a 50 mana unit, so he actually drops aggro pretty frequently. Slayers do have some Omnivamp, 15%, but it's not that much, even at the 4 piece. So having extra Omnivamp on Zed is good. And then other than that, you're just gonna want damage. Um, extra Omnivamp, extra damage. Oh, this is good. If you hit better Senna items, you can use Senna as your secondary carry instead of Zed. Either one. While you're rolling for Vayne, you can try 3-star either of these units, but Vayne is definitely your highest priority. Um, in the mid game, eventually Leona at 2 stars is going to be your strongest tank, but before you have Leona 2, the best tank is actually Jarvan. The reason is because overhealing heals Slayers also. So before you have an itemized Zed for like stage 3, you might be playing a board that looks like this. And then all of your Slayer overhealing. It's only gonna be 15% Omnivamp on Vayne, but she's gonna be full health lot, so it's gonna heal for half of that, which is 7.5%. That's about 1/3 of a Gunblade. Um, so it's actually pretty nice if you have your tank items on Jarvan. Again, Jarvan is the only unit that will get healed by Slayer out of these frontliners. So if you have like items that kind of make your Jarvan a little bit tankier. Maybe Stoneplate, you can put them in front. If you don't have Stoneplate, then you probably wouldn't solo front line. But if you have like some resistance items on this guy, then that healing from Vayne is going to be more powerful. After you get your build online, so notice this is only 7 units at level 8. What can we add? Um, just a second copy of one of these guys, like a second Jarvan 2, is going to be pretty reasonable. You can add a Divinicore unit, maybe like a Gragas for HP. If you hit Garen, you can add him. Potentially, you could give like Slayer to Leona, so she could benefit from that trait. You could give Anima Squad, which isn't that amazing, like I said, but it'll give him a little bit of extra stats. You could give Divinicore to Vayne. That'll allow her to get double Senna's bonus here, so you get an extra 8% AD on Vayne. Not bad. Um, one issue with Garen, though, is you have to keep him in to get his bonus, and at level 9, you might want to go 6 Vanguard or 6 Slayer. So yeah, I think like 6 Vanguard's gonna be really nice on 9, because then you can let your Rageblade stack up. You can also just play like 2-star legendaries if you hit them as well. One thing I would say that is not that strong is Xayah and Aurora. This is kind of like attempting. They kind of like fits pretty nicely in terms of like the cost bucket and the synergies, but it's not that valuable because Anima Squad provides flat damage, which falls off late game. And if you're playing a reroll comp, you're not going to have this online until very late. So the 5 Anima Squad is actually very, very little value. So I think like this is kind of a bait. If you have like an Aurora and you want to play her, you definitely can. But you could just play 4 out of 5 Anima Squad. There's probably like a better unit you could play. Like even like a second Leona 2 is probably going to be better than playing a Xayah 2 here. Because you're not going to have items for her. You're going to want to itemize Zed and even Senna with Force Slayer. That's going to wrap it up for this video on Vayne Reroll. This is a really good comp right now. Vayne's been nerfed several times in a row, but she's still really, really strong. And yeah, let me know in the Discord if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.